There's a hotel room so haunted, no guest has ever stayed longer than one night inside. The room looks completely normal during the day. It's well kept and decorated just like the rest of the rooms. The only difference is the price. For some reason, the hotel staff never recommends it. People who book it are always left scratching their heads as to why. One reviewer said, "I was really looking forward to staying here. I read the reviews and decided what the hell, let's do it. When I got to my room, I could feel the energy was off. I didn't think much of it. I laid down in bed and tried to sleep, but it was impossible. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw shadowy figures standing around my bed. I was then woken up by the sound of knocking, but when I investigated, there was no one there. The TV also turned itself on, but there was only static. I don't know what was going on in that room, but I felt very unsafe. I ended up checking out before sunrise." Another person said, "I stayed in the room for one night. It was terrible. At first it seemed fine, but then I started to feel cold spots all over the room. Even though it was the middle of summer, I could feel ice creeping up my legs. Then I heard tapping on the walls as if someone was trying to get my attention. I ignored it at first, but it got louder and more insistent. Then I turned around and saw a dark shadow in the corner of the room. It wasn't there a moment ago, but now it was staring at me. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't. Then it moved from the corner and floated towards me. I think I passed out because the next thing I remember was waking up in my car. I didn't even make it back to my room. But why? Why can nobody stay in the room? What makes it such a death trap for guests? Well, here's what we think might be happening. So we have to go back about 60 years to find the root of this curse. In 1962, a young woman named Mary Jane stayed in the room. She was in town for the annual psychic fair, and she rented the room so she could prepare for her upcoming shows. Now, Mary was a famous clairvoyant, and her gift was drawing people in from all over the country. The place was packed. But Mary had grown tired of the fame and fortune. She wanted out. So in her room that night, she took her own life. And ever since her spirit has been trapped there. Now, most ghosts are harmless, but not this one. She's angry, vengeful, and she wants to take anyone with her who dares enter the room. That's why guests report hearing chains dragging metal moans, as if someone is crawling across the floor. And that is why they wake up at exactly 3:15 a.m. every morning to the sound of heavy breathing right by their beds. They feel her icy cold fingers tracing up their skin. They hear her voice whispering sweet nothings in their ear. They see her face staring back at them from the bathroom mirror. And many of them feel compelled to end their own lives while in the room, thinking that it will help ease Mary's suffering. But it gets worse. You see, after Mary died, the hotel tried to make the room habitable again. They painted over the scratches and scrapes. They replaced the mattress and the carpet, but they couldn't get rid of the ghost. In fact, it got worse. Some say that after Mary's death, her essence seeped into the fabric of the room, turning it into a vortex of darkness. Some say it's a portal to another dimension, a gateway to hell. Others say it's where all negative energies converge, and no one knows for sure. All we know is that once guests enter, they experience things they cannot explain, things that make them question their sanity. Many of them leave early, traumatized by what they experienced. But some stay because they want to prove that there's nothing there. They want to show everyone that it's just a bunch of made-up nonsense. And those people never come back. Take Ryan Burns, for example. He was a blogger who stayed in the room for a week. He said he would never go back. It was absolute hell. On the third day, I woke up, and it felt like something had crawled across my face. I looked up and saw a spider, but then I realized that it wasn't a spider. It was a human fingernail. I called the front desk and asked them to send someone up to check the room. When they did, they were shocked to find no damage anywhere. There was no sign that anyone had been there or that anything had happened. But I knew what I had seen. It was clear as day. So I started searching the room myself. And that's when I found it. Scratched into the bathroom mirror were the words, "Leave now." I don't know who wrote it there, but whoever did knew I needed to hear that message. I'm not sure if it was Mary or something else. But after that, I checked out. I don't care how cheap the room was. I wouldn't stay there for free. I've seen enough. Some speculate that the scratchings and the writings in the mirror are from Mary herself. After all, she was a clairvoyant. Maybe she was trying to warn Ryan and other guests about the dangers of staying in the room. Maybe she doesn't want any more victims. Maybe she wants them to spread the word. But no one knows for sure. All we know is that the hotel still stands. The room is still there, and it has claimed another victim. On July 8, 2022, a young man named Oliver booked the room. He was excited to stay there, to experience what others had experienced before him, and he invited his girlfriend along. He thought it would be fun, romantic even, like a scene from a horror movie. But things quickly turned south. When Oliver and his girlfriend entered the room, the air grew cold. The temperature dropped 10 degrees instantly. Then they heard the sound of dragging chains coming from the closet. As they approached, the sound grew louder, more intense, and suddenly, a dark figure emerged. It lunged at them and knocked them both to the ground. Oliver and his girlfriend screamed in terror as they scrambled away from the closet. The figure reached out towards them, but it seemed to phase through Oliver's body, leaving him unscathed. It touched his girlfriend, however, and she crumpled to the floor like she had been shot. Oliver watched in horror as his girlfriend's eyes rolled back in her head and her skin grew pale as snow. He called for help, but when emergency services arrived, they found nothing wrong. His girlfriend was perfectly healthy. They had somehow survived the encounter with whatever creature lived in the closet, but no one knows how. Oliver never returned to the room. No one has ever seen his girlfriend again, and now the hotel has become a place of legend. Travelers speak of it in hushed tones. Locals warn each other to stay away, and paranormal investigators dream of entering the room to find out what's inside. But no one has ever entered the room since. The hotel never closed it, but no one has ever managed to stay more than a single night. If you're curious about what's going on, then maybe you should visit. You could be the first person to survive 2 nights inside. Or maybe you should stay away. Maybe it's best not to disturb the spirits that reside there. What do you think? Let us know your thoughts below. And remember to stay tuned for more videos like these.